Over the last many months, I've been using the M1 MacBooks and Big Sur. There's been almost constant issues with displays. I've tried multiple Macs, multiple displays, and multiple cables and docks with no working solution. How is this a thing in 2021? Hey, I'm Jerry, and consider this a rant. This was not the video that I was going to make, but this is the video that I feel I needed to make. A few days ago, Mac Rumors had a post detailing some issues with some customers who have purchased an M1 Mac Mini who have been experiencing an issue that causes the machine not to wake a connected third-party display from sleep. And they quoted a guy named Mike saying, "I have a new Mac Mini M1 with 16 gigs of RAM running Big Sur 11.2.3, and every time the computer and screen go to sleep, the computer will not wake up the screen. Actually, I get no signal displayed on the screen after the Mini wakes, so technically the computer does wake the monitor, but fails to send a video signal. The only way I can get the Mini to send a signal to the display is to unplug and replug in the Thunderbolt cable, sometimes repeatedly." Sound familiar? Yeah, I made 3 videos in November and December last year detailing some of these same issues, as well as a few others, when using external displays and the M1 MacBooks. At first, I was having issues getting 60 Hz through Thunderbolt or DisplayPort when using an expensive, amazing BenQ PD3220U display. Luckily, macOS Big Sur 11.1 did fix the issue with getting 60 Hz on that display, but unfortunately, many other issues started happening when either waking the external displays from sleep or just connecting them. I would get weird mirroring or distortion issues where an external display would have overlapping desktops, and the built-in screen would be mirrored partially to the external display, leaving the internal display a laggy mess. I ran a bunch of tests with Thunderbolt, DisplayPort, and HDMI on the display using the MacBook Pro M1, Air M1, and the 16-inch MacBook Pro, and they all displayed issues in some form. Sometimes distortions with Thunderbolt or DisplayPort. Sometimes there were color inversions using HDMI. And sometimes the displays simply just would not turn on, like what Mike described in the Mac Rumors article. I went and bought 2 other 4K displays, and the cheapest display I tried was a Samsung UJ59 series monitor. And actually, all 3 of those computers actually seemed to work okay with that monitor. But it was a bad monitor, and I couldn't use it with any kind of accuracy. Then I tried the Samsung UR55 display, and they all failed on HDMI out, but seemed okay most of the time with DisplayPort. So what does that really say so far? Maybe specific monitors are better suited to the Mac than others? Maybe everyone should go get a subpar cheap display because it worked better? No, I don't think so, but more on that in a minute. I ended up sticking with the mid-range Samsung UR55, which is a 28-inch 4K display, as it had fewer issues than the BenQ and an okay screen quality. And then when Big Sur 11.2 came out, it actually seemed to completely solve my connection issues when using DisplayPort. I was super excited that for weeks after the 11.2 update, my MacBook Pro would reliably wake up my external display every single time. I thought, great, my issues are now solved. So naturally, I tried HDMI and still ended up getting that weird inverse color issue, but figured, oh well, as long as I stay on DisplayPort, I should be good. Well, about a month later on March 8th, Big Sur 11.2.3 came out, and I'm back to having almost constant display issues when waking up or plugging in my MacBook to the same display I was using that was working just fine for a month. Here is an example of waking from sleep while connected via DisplayPort. I don't even know how to explain it, but you can see that the desktop picture is only showing on a portion of the screen, but the menu bar somehow thinks it's across the whole desktop. With this one, the resolution on the external display is warped and stretched, so that you can't even see the clock on the menu bar, and the dock is cut off on the bottom. Switching over to HDMI and using Apple's AV adapter, I get the reverse color issue on the display when waking from sleep again. And that's not the only display issues that people are having. Just look at the Mac Rumors article from February, where Apple informed service providers that it was aware and investigating an issue that may result in pink squares or pixels appearing on displays connected to the M1 Mac Mini. Apple's troubleshooting advice was to put the Mac Mini to sleep, then wait 2 minutes and wake up the Mac Mini. Unplug the display from the Mac Mini and then plug it back in. Change the display preferences and the resolution in system preferences. And if that doesn't work, reboot and repeat. With each of these problems, unplugging the cable and reconnecting or rebooting usually fixes them. But why is this a thing in 2021? And some will say that when I buy a first-gen product like the M1, I have to expect that there's going to be some issues like this. But that's like saying when I buy a new generation car, I should just expect that the windshield just pops in and out of place sometimes while driving. First, I reject that something as simple as a standard peripheral connection wouldn't just work on a new computer. And if there was an issue as severe as that, it shouldn't take more than 3 months to fix it. And second, I reject first-gen issues because I get similar issues on a 16-inch MacBook Pro, as I've already talked about. So this is not limited just to first-gen products and seems to be more OS related. Now, what are people like us supposed to do? Are we supposed to be grateful that Apple offers a $5,000 Pro Display XDR that maybe works better? Do we have to limit ourselves to a cheap third-party display that has terrible color, terrible brightness, and viewing angles, but works a little bit better? Actually, I don't know if it works better because I returned it because it was a terrible display. I guess we could forego external displays completely, which isn't really an option for the Mac Mini. And even still, what happens when you have issues with built-in Mac displays, like this issue that just happened to me the other day? So I was working with my external display and my internal display, and I noticed that my internal display was not doing things correctly. So over here, you can see the time is cut off. So the screen is stretched. We're missing the bottom of the dock. And on here, the built-in display preferences show we are using the default for display. If I change it to scaled, so if this was the external monitor, I would change the resolution and then change it back and everything would probably come back. But now, for whatever reason, on the internal display, changing the resolution does not fix it. I go through all of these and it's not doing what it's supposed to do. It's not giving me the correct resolution for my built-in internal display on this MacBook Pro M1. So I guess a reboot is in order, and then I have to sign back into all of my work stuff. So good times. So I'm not sure what else I can say about these display issues, except they continue to happen months after the release of the M1 Max and macOS Big Sur. We are talking standard computer peripherals and standard connection types. Are these deal breakers for recommending or being on the Mac platform? No, probably not. There are still a ton of benefits of using the Mac, like apps that are super optimized for the Mac hardware, like Pixelmator Pro, or even the benefits of the whole ecosystem like iMessage. But when you look at these continued display issues, add in the very common Bluetooth connection issues, and my unreliability that I seem to have with continuity and handoff, I do get a little concerned about using products that are not cheap and from a company that prides itself in its stuff just working. But what do you think? Am I blowing all of this out of proportion, or have these issues been enough for you to think twice about buying a new Mac? Let's talk below. If you want to see more about the testing I did between computers, displays, and adapters, check out this video right over here. Hit the thumbs up button if you liked it, hit subscribe if you want, and I'll see you next time.